So we'll go ahead and get started here. Welcome to our webinar today, getting people back to work, back into office with Safe Workplace. So over the past few months, obviously with everything going on in the current environment, Genea and our development team, and our product team has spent some time and dollars reinvesting in the product to provide some significant enhancements to our access control product that we think will be beneficial to everybody at large. So if you're a current customer, this is an enhancement to this solution that'll be turned on. For those of you who are new, give you an opportunity to look at some enhancements that we have made to the product itself that we think are really compelling as a way to get people back to the office. So for those of you, afterwards, if you have specific questions about a site, a building, anything that you're working on where you need to go over that individually, please let us know. We'll set up some separate time to talk to you as well. The beauty of kind of what we do as a company is we're very nimble. From ideation until launch, it took us about 6 weeks to create this enhancement of the overall product. So we can move very fast as a business. So and one of the great things is taking feedback from our customers, building product enhancements. It's one of the things that we really love to do here at Genea. So today, my name is Robert Vale. If you've been on one of our webinars, you've probably seen me. You've seen Mike and Mattia on a couple, but I am Vice President of Sales here at Genea. Also with us is Mattia Abasic. Mattia is our head of product and our product manager here at Genea. So he's involved with our development team, involved with everything that we do to bring product to the marketplace. So Mattia is going to be actually going through a portion of the live demo showing the new features as well. And then Mike Maxeni is our director of access control. He's also the co-founder of the access control business that Genea acquired back in 2019. So Mike will be going through some of the high-level features of the access control product and overall talk about how they relate to Safe Workplace and everything that we're doing. So, and then of course with us is Kim Marchbank, who's our head of marketing. Kim makes all these webinars possible. So we would be just a disaster if we didn't have Kim really running the show behind the scenes. So we appreciate the entire team here being involved. So today's agenda, I'm going to do a very high-level overview about Genea. So I know we have some customers who are secure customers prior to the acquisition who aren't really familiar with our company. We have a lot of new folks who've probably not been through a demonstration with us, really heard the story. So I'll walk through some story with us. We'll talk about obviously access control and Safe Workplace, talk about the overall one seamless experience, and then we'll go very specific to the Safe Workplace product and do a feature walkthrough. And then at the end, we'll do definitely FAQs. We'll answer questions as they come through the chat, like I already mentioned. But really look forward to having this as interactive as possible and give you guys some really good content. So for those of you who are not familiar with Genea, we are a software company based out of Orange County, California. Our Genea as a business has been around for about 10 years. When we first started, we started with a solution to manage overtime HVAC requests and billings in multi-tenanted office properties. A few years later, we launched a second product for sub-meter reading and billing. And then, like I mentioned before, in 2019, we acquired Mike's business and we rolled in access control to our overall solution suite. So overall, as a business, we're in 1,500 buildings across the nation, and our access control product has taken us into about 15 different countries. So we're an international company. We've got over 4,500 companies who are using our products in some capacity, over 75,000 users. Some of the things that are really important to us just as a business is we have a 99% customer retention rate. And this is at the customer level, at the logo level, at the building level when you look at commercial real estate. And that's really because of our service and support model. One of the things that is very unique to Genea is we have a direct service and support model. It's with a white glove approach. We really take that seriously. The fact that you trust us with your employees and your tenants to be able to provide them a solution is really key to our success. So that's 24/7 support by our employees, which has overall led us to having a 75 Net Promoter Score, which puts us in line with Apple and Nordstrom and some of the leading companies in the industry when you think of service. You get an idea of some of the companies who we work with. So this is just a handful of the companies worldwide who we're working with. But we have some really high target, some key customers, and some really wonderful references. So we appreciate their opportunity to work with us over the years, and we also appreciate their feedback because they're the folks who we rely upon as we do product enhancements. We go back to the customers, ask them for their for their advice and what would they like to see in terms of product enhancements, which is one of the reasons that we're here today is really we got some feedback from the customer. So some of the things that just make Genea different as a software provider to the industry is one is we're as hardware agnostic as possible. So depending on which product you have, if you have our overtime HVAC solution or a sub-meter billing solution, we can work with what you have in place. So we work with any particular building automation system on the market. We work with any particular meter, whether it's Eamon, Demon, Leviton, it doesn't really matter to us. On the access control side, we are a Mercury-based partner, so everything that we do is built upon Mercury and HID Vertex hardware. So the reason for behind that is to give us the ability to leverage existing hardware that's in place. So that way, if you put in our access control solution, you don't have to do a full rip and replace. You may have to do some upgrades here and there to readers to make them Bluetooth enabled, or if it just makes more sense to upgrade a controller, we can do that. But it helps to reduce the overall cost of implementing a better software solution when you can leverage existing hardware that's in place. Bless you, Mike. We're also really big on integration. So you'll see as part of our overall solution suite, integrations is very key to what we do. On the commercial real estate side, we have partnerships with both Angus as well as Building Engines, the two largest work order system providers in the industry. And then on the software side for access control, we have a slew of integrations. So that could be identity management solutions like Okta, Windows Azure, OneLogin. We do single sign-on with SAML 2.0. As well as we integrate with various camera providers like Cisco Meraki and Eagle Eye and Milestone and Tyco Cloud. And then even for communication purposes, you have out-of-the-box API integrations available to all of our customers where we can also integrate with Slack and Teams to provide alerting. So these are just some of the unique things that we do in terms of integrations. We wanted to make it easy for our customers and the end users to really interact with our solution without having to spend a lot of capital and involve a lot of other parties to make this work. We don't charge any setup fees for any of our software solutions. So it's really the only time there's any upfront fees is if you need to change out some hardware or do some installation on the access control product. But overall on the software side, we don't charge anything upfront. What we ask for is a 12-month commitment. At the end of that 12 months, if we haven't done our job as a software provider, you can kick us out and bring in somebody else to do the job. But like I mentioned before, we have a 99% customer retention rate, so we don't intend on losing anybody. But we do want to make always put the onus on us as a software provider to do a great job. And the last thing I already mentioned, 24/7 support by Genea employees, handling requests from I don't know my username and password to can you do some training with me? And that's all part of the ongoing service that we provide here at Genea. So 3 solutions. Our overtime HVAC solution, once again, gives tenants in a multi-tenant office building the ability to pull up an app, request overtime HVAC whenever they need it, and does all the billing. Our sub-meter billing streamlines the process for collection and generating tenant invoice statements. And then our access control product is a holistic solution, a cloud-based solution to manage physical access at the building and with all of a slew of integrations. Now, today's focus is going to be on the access control product. Specifically, we'll do some high-level overviews, and then we'll go into the safe workplace features, and we can show you a little bit of our visitor management tool. So with that, I'm going to have Mike jump in, and I'll have him go ahead and give you some general overviews on the access control service. And here we go. You're on mute, Mike.
Yep, thanks, Rob. Hey, everybody. My name is Mike Maxeni. So I oversee the access control division here at Genea. For those of you that are not existing customers of Genea Access Control, one of the core concepts that we really wanted to bring to market was having a unified solution for your security management suite. Back when we were starting the product, most access control and security systems were on-prem. You had an on-prem Windows server for your access control system. You had an on-prem Windows server for your VMS platform. And then if you had a visitor management system, it was either a paper logbook or a very rudimentary piece of software as well. And they were all disconnected. So, and the picture got even worse if you had multiple sites. So if you had 15, 20 offices across the United States or internationally, you would usually have 15 to 20 different access control systems as well to manage. So it was in that world that we wanted to create something completely different. By starting as a cloud-based system, we could unify all of your sites onto a single access control system, and then start to loop in the other products that are part of your physical security management suite. So we have the access control is the platform of everything, but then we have video integrations to platform or to other systems like Milestone or Eagle Eye or Tyco Cloud, Cisco Meraki. And then we have our own visitor management system. We also integrate with other third-party visitor management systems as well. But the idea, again, is to give you one single consolidated platform to manage all physical security for whatever facility that you're managing. And then the last thing that we really wanted to solve for was service and support. Outside of just the complaints we were hearing about product, the number one complaint was service and support. If you had an issue with the software for your access control system, it could take days, if not weeks, to get a solid, reliable answer from the OEM provider of software. Because most of the time there's a disconnect between the end user and whoever made the software. So getting service and support was a nightmare. And back in 2015, when we were launching the product, we wanted to be the first ever solution to come to market with 24/7 live chat support to all of our users, not just the administrators, but also the people that they serve, the employees that were being managed by the system. So if you're a Genea user, you have access to our 24/7, 365 support team. And that goes just beyond support. So yeah, you'll have live chat support right in our web app and our mobile applications, but it also includes training. A lot of our enterprise customers, they have a lot of sites, and at each site, there's a different administrator, someone that needs to be able to use this system. And you don't want to rely on internal training. So it's much more efficient for our teams to provide that direct support and also the service of training those administrators directly. So we'll help get your teams on board using the product, and then we'll also help them set up integrations. So if you're using a directory services integration like Active Directory or Okta, we'll help your team set up that integration, and then we'll even take it a step further and help you guys actually design the system and the rules so that your users are provisioned properly. We really try to make an investment in our customer relationships upfront because we think it's the best way for us to provide value over a long-term period. Let's face it, access control systems should stick around with you and your organization for a long time. And we're willing to make the upfront investment to ensure that the system that you're getting is helping you save time, helping you save money, and keep your company or your facility secure. So that's really a part of our holistic approach to the product. All right. So moving on, obviously last year presented a number of challenges for the security industry. And one of those was, how can we ensure that people can access their manufacturing facilities, the hospitals, or even sometimes the office in a safe and touchless manner? And that's where we went and rebuilt our visitor management solution to include touchless access control. And then also, one of the key benefits of our access control products inherently from the beginning was our mobile access credentials. And so we tried to apply a touchless access journey across every point in the access chain, right? So everything from credentialing someone. If you're using our mobile access credentials, I can give someone a key card to the facility remotely. So I can be based in LA, but if they're trying to access our facility in Georgia, I can give them a key on their phone and no one has to physically hand them a card. They can drive up to the parking deck, twist the phone, or hold the phone up to the reader in a touchless manner using NFC or Bluetooth, and the parking gate will release. I think you get the idea, but the general concept here is for not only your employees, but also your guests to get into the facility in a touchless manner across every access point. So we wanted to take it even a step further. As part of our responsibility to help our customers respond to the global pandemic, and then also eventually this year get back to work in the offices and the buildings that we're all supporting, we wanted to create a safe workplace environment and tools that would help in that effort. So after taking a lot of customer feedback, seeing what other customers were doing with their attempts to keep their facilities running, we decided to make a product suite that would also help us and our other customers get there. So it starts with tracking, managing, and enforcing capacity. And Mattia from our product team is going to take you through how this all works. But quickly and easily in our dashboard, you can set a capacity limit for your office or your facility. You can also do things like turn off everyone's credential and then ask them to go through a check-in flow that includes a questionnaire and approval workflow for their credentials to be activated for a set period of time that you want. And then of course, contact tracing. So one of the beautiful parts about our system being fully vertically integrated with access control, video, and visitor management is that we can do contact tracing beyond just your access control logs. We can do it by integrating your visitor logs. And Mattia will show you how that works. And then of course, we also integrate with body temperature scanners. So some of our customers have implemented body temp scanners as well as facial recognition devices so that employees check in on a daily basis at a single location, get verified that to the best of the technology's ability that person is healthy. And then once they go through that check-in, then their credentials are activated for the day. So these are just some of the use cases involved in the Genea Safe Workplace product. So what I'm going to do next is I'm actually going to take us into the product. I'm going to give us a high-level overview of the access control system and then hand it off to Mattia so he can take you through Genea Safe Workplace. So with that said, let me pull up the dashboard here. Alrighty. Now, because Genea is a cloud-based system, you could have multi-site administration for a single individual. Now, when you log in, you'll see a pick list of those different locations you're an administrator in. In a few weeks, we're going to be releasing a global dashboard that's going to aggregate a lot of that data into a single pane of glass for you. But for now, this is the main screen you see when you log in. When you go into a site to do your administration work, it'll bring you into the analytics dashboard. It's just a basic analytics dashboard. It'll show you today's attendance. It'll give you an attendance graph over time, early user arrivals. It'll give you a heat map of activity throughout the day. Now, what a lot of our enterprise customers do is they'll use our API or our webhooks to export this data and build more advanced dashboards elsewhere. But we wanted to provide a basic overview right within the product. All right, so moving into the high level features. Keep in mind this is a high level demonstration we're going to go through very quick, show you guys what our product is all about. And that's mostly for the people who are joining us who are not existing access control customers, because this is an all-in-one product. So to add or remove users, you can do it in one of two ways. There's the manual way of entering a user just by simply inputting their name, their email address, selecting the access groups. Another great thing about our product is that if you're using this across multiple sites, you can add a user in one time across all those sites. And then whenever you give them a credential, that credential will be distributed to those sites automatically. So you're never having to carry around a notebook full of key cards. We've heard some funny stories from some of our customers. Before they were using Genea, the CEO of the company would have 5 or 6 key cards to get around to different sites within the organization. With us, you can have a single card across all sites, and we make it really easy to set that up. So once you've added in a user, what does their user profile look like? So you'll see things like their photo or any other information that's coming through from a system of record like Active Directory. You can see the locations that they have access to, and then you'll see any credentials that they have. So in this case, we have a pending download mobile credential for Aiden. Let's say we want to give Aiden a new physical key card. What you would do is just go and hit add new card, and then you can just input the card number here. You can also put an expiration date on that card. Let's say, Aiden lost his phone. He needs to use the physical key card for the day. I can set this to expire on Monday and hit save. And so now he's going to have that key card, and it'll automatically delete from our system on Monday when he gets his phone back, hopefully. So that's how you add a user in, give them a credential manually. As part of the Safe Workplace initiative, we also introduced the ability to suspend a user temporarily. So you can just hit this and it'll suspend their access across all locations. And then if you need to reactivate them, just hit the button and now their credentials are active again in the system. So that's the manual way of doing everything within Genea Access Control. The other great thing about our system is that you can do this through a system of record integration, and we don't charge extra for this. Again, it's a part of our holistic approach with the product, the service. We didn't want to charge extra for integrations. It's 2021. Your organization is using these tools to manage IT globally. We don't want to put an extra barrier in the way with our product by charging for it. So with this, all you have to do is click manage, and then it'll bring up a system of rules that is used to govern how people go from your IT system of record into the access control system. And this is full lifecycle management. It doesn't just end with adding them in. If you add someone in as a manager and then they get promoted to director, and that comes with new access privileges in your organization, we'll automatically update their access rules as well within the access control system. And then if you terminate them or if they get deactivated in the system of record for whichever reason, it'll deactivate their access across the organization instantaneously and on a global basis. What this really does is it allows organizations who are managing thousands of people to eliminate the human error factor, because it's oftentimes we'll come into large organizations, office buildings, distribution facilities, you name it. And if you're managing thousands of people, it's natural for people to fall through the cracks when they need to get terminated or removed from the access control system. With using a system of record integration, you eliminate that factor. So it's easy to design new rules for user provisioning. You just create a rule. So we'll say test rule here, and then we can select from a list of groups from our system of record here. And then we want to say, everyone in this group from the city of Denver in our organization is going to get pushed into our access control system. We then select what access group we want them to receive as a user in our system. And then we can take it a step further and completely automate the access provisioning process by assigning them a mobile key at the time that they're provisioned from the access or from the system of record. So this really is end-to-end fully automated user provisioning for your organization if you want to use our mobile keys. So that's how you set up those integrations right here. We also have a host of other integrations that Rob told you about briefly in the lead up. But we have Slack and Microsoft Teams. We have VMS integrations with Meraki, Tyco Cloud, Eagle Eye, Milestone. We're about to release Exact Vision too. So lots of additions are coming here. And keep in mind, these are all included at no additional charge with Genea. So this is really built for your enterprise's modern IT stack. Last thing I'll talk about before I turn it over to Mattia is reporting. So reporting is super easy inside of our platform. All you have to do is use the filters here to create different parameters. So let's say we want to see everyone who went into the server room right here. And I want to see that for the last, let's say for this week. Go ahead and hit apply. And now it's going to filter all that out. And you can export this to CSV just by hitting export right here. Now, for those of you that have used a legacy on-prem access control system, that is lightning fast compared to what you're probably doing today. So again, our system is designed to be very easy to use and not have a lot of extra barriers in the way, like additional service fees for integrations or paying SAP for crystal reports. None of that nonsense. We try to make it a 21st century experience with Genea Access Control. And last but not least is service and support. So if you need any help, let's say it's how do I generate a report or how do I set up an integration? Our team is available right here in the web app and the mobile app 24/7 to help you out. Just simply open up a chat with us right here, or you can search through our help articles quickly and easily. So if I'm curious about the Okta integration, all right, so how do I set up custom attributes with Okta? Here's our help center right here, just seconds away. But of course, we like it when you talk to us, so don't hesitate to chat away. With that said, Mattia, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you, Mike. Hello, everybody. My name is Mattia, and I'm thrilled to share with you today a new set of features that we call Safe Workplace. As we look forward to the year to come, we are thinking about how do we help our customers bring people back into the offices in a safe and responsible way. So what I will do today, and I'll use my own phone here. I will take us to the mobile app, to our Access mobile app. And quickly, I want to touch on a few items that Mike showed from the web portal, from the web interface. All of those are available in the mobile app as well. So for example, I can see my users, I can create new user credentials, remove existing users. I have an ability to control the doors remotely. So if I'm driving into my office and I have a delivery person waiting to drop off a package, I can issue a quick grant of the door that is going to unlock the door for 5 seconds and then lock it back on, or I have access to emergency functions. So if I do need to lock or unlock all doors, depending on emergency types, I can do all of that right from my car as I'm fighting the traffic on my way into the office. And of course, I can also manage my visitors from the mobile app, which I'll get into in a second. Now, another important feature, just like you can manage multiple locations from the web administrative platform, you can do the same from the mobile app. So in this case, when I choose a different location that I'm also a part of, I can do the same thing if I'm giving permissions. One thing that you will notice here, the user that I'm logged in as, a few items on the bottom of my screen have now disappeared. And this is because I can be an office administrator in one location, but I can be a regular employee in all the other locations. So based on the types of permissions that I have at various different locations, the experience within the app is also customized so that it's easy and intuitive. So what I wanted to show today, let's start with our safe workplace features. For those of you who are existing customers who have used our mobile app before, you will recognize that there is something new at the top of our screen. So I have an ability to check in to come into work. So this is a way for me to reserve my spot in the office. So if many other companies have reduced the capacity drastically since the COVID began, what that means is that if I'm a part of a 100-person company, my office policy during the COVID times may be such that only 20 people are allowed in the office at any given point in time, and we all need to reserve our spots in the office. So let's do just that. I'll hit on the check-in, and now I'm told what is being expected of me. So I'm checking into a particular office, and I'll hit let's get started. So what the process is, and this is completely customizable, I'll show everybody in a second how we do that. But as an employee, I'm taken through a list of questions that I just need to answer as they come up on the screen. So are you feeling sick? Okay, I'm not feeling sick, and I'll hit next. Have you been tested for COVID in the past 14 days? I'll say yes, because it may be my office policy that I need to be tested at least once every 2 weeks. I'll hit next. And throughout any of these steps, again, I'll show you how we configure that. If I answer any of these questions in such a way that I really shouldn't be coming anywhere near the office, the automated process would stop. And what would happen next is that my office administrator would be notified, and there would have to be a sort of a manual intervention in the process. I wouldn't just be given access to the building and to my office. So do I have any symptoms? Luckily, I don't. I will hit next, and I get a message, thumbs up, I'm approved. So that means that I can go to my office and my credentials will actually work and unlock the doors. Before I went through the approval process, I simply wouldn't be able to enter the building. Now, what we also do is we can add to this process. What I mean by that is that what we can configure is that every employee, after they pass the screening questionnaire, they have to go through one particular entry point in a building. And what some of our customers choose to do is they add for example, thermal temperature scanner. So the process is such that I need to answer the questionnaire at home. I need to show up at this one particular entry point to the building where they scan my temperature. And only when I scan my credentials at a one particular entry point are my credentials then active on the entire campus. So we have very, very kind of a granular way of how we can control who has access where and when. Another thing that I wanted to show is how do we handle those cases where I accidentally select the wrong question, or if I wake up too late, it's 11:30 a.m. where I am, And let's say I'm just waking up, I'm a little late for work, and my spots in office are already filled. But I have an important meeting. So what I can do is I can request access. So here I will say important meeting with the customer, and I'll hit request. So in this case, my office administrator has just received a notification that I've requested access, even though all of the spots have been taken. So it really, again, we kind of pull in that manual intervention in a process when it comes to determining who should be on site and who should not. So one last thing that to show in the mobile app is how do we kind of bring in the visitor experience into the same touchless and safe way of bringing people on site into the office. So when I switch over to my visitors tab, what I can see quickly is a kind of a dashboard of people who are expected to show up on site by day and by status. So I can see who's arrived, who has been invited but not yet checked in, or who's checked in online and who is kind of okay to come on site. There are two ways for me to invite people. I can either type somebody's name outright and their contact info, or I can reach into the address book, which will pre-populate people's information for me. So when I do that, and in this case, I will invite myself. I have my name, I have my email address, which will be used to deliver my invitation, and then I will select my meeting duration. So let's say this Friday, tomorrow from 8 to 2 p.m. I have an ability to select the different hosts if I am a sort of a delegate host for my boss, for example, and so on. And of course, I can leave some notes for the visitors. So here I'm going to say, don't forget to bring the important paperwork. Very creative, I know. Okay, so when I hit create, a few things happen now. The visitor is added to the dashboard. The visitor obviously receives an email invite. They can start that online pre-registration process, much like what the employees go through. And I appear on the dashboard of the office manager, so they know they can expect me in the building. So what that looks like from the visitor experience really quickly. When I open my email here, I can see my invite from Christina Kennedy. That was the user that I was logged in as. I can see the time and place. I have a quick a shortcut to the maps if I need to get directions. And from this point, I can start the online registration process. So in this case, what we do is we generate a unique URL for each invite, and that really enables us that we don't need to force visitors to download any third-party apps. They don't need to create any user accounts or reset passwords if they're trying to get into it. This just opens a unique one-time URL on any device that has a browser, and visitors can go through the pre-registration check-in process. What I'll do here, I'll go through the questionnaire. I'll answer some questions. I'm being asked, have you visited UIG Technologies in the past? Let's say I have not. Coming from Genea, I'll hit confirm, and then I go through it to a questionnaire that can be customized by location and by the person type. So you may have different questionnaire that employees need to follow, and you can customize it to look differently for your visitors. So do you have a valid negative test? I'll say yes, because that's required. I'm not feeling sick, and I have not been traveling anywhere in a long time, and I don't have any symptoms. Okay, so another thing that we can add to the visitor experience is that a lot of times enterprises and even the properties, the buildings, they require visitors to have photograph on their visitor badges, usually ones that you stick on your shirt. And traditionally, how that was done is that your picture would be taken at a front desk, at a reception desk, and then a printer would print it out on a piece of paper. You would stick it on your shirt. What we can do now with the touchless experience is that we can capture the photo before anybody shows up on site. So what I'll do here, actually, again, I'll use my phone. I'll capture an acceptable photo of myself and I'll save it. So this is now part of my visitor record. When I show up on site, the reception desk or the security desk will be able to match me walking into the workplace with the picture on my visitor profile. Other things that we can add as part of this check-in process. Yes.
Mattia, I apologize. Your phone froze.
Huh. Well, I'm sorry about that. Let me try to reshare my screen. How long ago did I lose you guys?
You're going through registration process about, starting to answer questions.
Okay, so I probably lost you somewhere here. So I have a similar registration process. Is my phone back now?
No.
I apologize for that. Do you still see my screen? Because I just stopped sharing it.
Nope. Why don't you go ahead and just go into the portal, and we'll go through things in the portal, go through the setup and everything. But the phone was not sharing.
I'm sorry about that. Let me see if I can quickly change things up here. Can you see my screen now? Is it back?
No.
Or no? You may have to take over, Rob. You may have to take over because it looks like it's frozen. Even if I'm not sharing it, it's still.
Mike, can you jump in? You're muted, Mike.
I'll have to log out.
Give me a second. Give a second.
You're still seeing my phone frozen, or do you see the web dashboard now?
Don't see anything, Mattia.
Don't see anything, Mattia.
I'm out of options. I've tried all the tricks in the book that I know how to bring it back alive.
All right.
No problem at all.
I'll take over. All right. Just to make sure you guys can see my keychain here.
Correct.
All right. And you were just going through the registration process for guests, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna skip through. I'm gonna skip past that and go into the dashboard actually. So let me get that up here. Perfect. All right. So in the so as Mattia was trying to show us with the visitor management product, you can use that link to go to the pre-registration flow and check in as a guest. So what does that turn into on the administrative side? A few things here, right? So with visitor management, you'll see a list of all the active guests. So we see that invitation from Mattia here. His host was Christina. I can see the status here. In addition, we'll have all the guest logs, so you can see all the past guests, what their email was, excuse me, and who their host was, and all the responses as well to those questions. So last but not least is the documents they sign are hosted right here as well. So you have a full record of all your guest logs after they've gone through our touchless guest registration process. Designing the check-in flow is done right here in the visitor management tab as well. So you'll see the check-in fields that our team has created, any advanced questions. So you can just create those new questions quickly and easily right here by using the drop down between single and multi-select. Toggle whether or not you'd like guests to take a photo, as Mattia did so kindly for us. He's definitely taking a shower today, so he's looking good. And then you can also have a document signing function as well. So these documents can be anything, right? This could be a non-disclosure agreement. This could be an attestation of health or a liability waiver. It really just depends on the facility that we're controlling access to and the types of guests that we expect. So all that can be customized here. And then last but not least, we have a badge printing feature that'll allow you to customize a badge and then print that out for the guests when they arrive. So that's all part of our touchless visitor management experience. But we wanted to take it a step further because not every guest to the facility is going to be pre-registered. So with that, you'll have the ability to host or display a QR code that you can just walk up and scan with your mobile device, and that'll take you right into the touchless check-in process as well with that questionnaire that we just went through. So you kind of have all bases covered. You have the pre-registered guests that fill out all that information before you come out on site. And then if people are just arrive without being pre-registered, or they're part of a group and they weren't included in the invitation, they can still go through the check-in process that's required. Because a lot of us, ourselves included, we have to have a record of every guest. It's part of our SOC 2 compliance effort. So we can't really let anyone into our offices or our locations without them checking in. So this just kind of allows you to make sure you're not letting people slip through the cracks. So that's all part of the touchless visitor management solution. Now, if we come back into Safe Workplace, there's the same concept around pre-registering guests through a check-in process, through an app, or through the link. We took a lot of that and moved it over into Safe Workplace and turned it internally for employees. So you design that questionnaire right here in the Checkinflow process. You can add new questions just like you did with visitor management. So like with our employees, we asked, are you feeling sick today, or have you been tested? All the things that Mattia just showed you on his mobile app as an employee, that's all designed here in the web application. Another thing is that you can change the check-in window. So how many hours or days before do you want to allow people to check in for access to the office? That's all designed right here in the check-in window, because if you're asking people, hey, are you healthy? You want those answers to be as close to the time that they're coming to the office as possible. So all that's done here. And then of course you can set a capacity limit to how many people we want in this location at any given time. And so you can set that here, or you can make it unlimited. It really depends on how you and your facility team want to manage capacity and access to the office. So if we want to set a limit, just put 50 here and hit save, and now no more than 50 people can be at the site at any given time. So you have the check-in and the checkout process, which will govern exactly how many people are there. In the reservations tab, this is where you can see all of the active reservations. We can see reservations into the future or the full list of reservations. So it just allows you to see who's coming on site for the day. And then also another really important feature is contact tracing. So especially in today's day and age, we want to know, if someone tests positive, that we have a list of everyone who was possibly in contact with that person at our office. So to do that, we have a simple contact tracing tool. You just input the date parameters that you want to search for, and then you input the person that you're searching for, whoever was tested positive. And then we're going to give you a list of every individual who was on site that day with that person. So this is not just your employee list, but it's also pulling from that guest list as well, which is super important, again, about having the vertically integrated solution. And then if you need this as a CSV form, you can just export that to CSV this way. All right, so that's our contact tracing feature. And then last but not least, here in the settings tab, you can actually toggle this on or off for the organization as a whole or for this site. So you can do it on a site-by-site basis. Let's say you want to do this for the corporate office, but let's say your manufacturing facility is not going to be subject to this. You can turn this on or off based on the site. You can also do, does this govern whether or not the badges are activated or not? That can be adjusted to on or off here in the settings tab. And then last but not least is exempt access groups. So there's two different use cases here. Let's say there's a group of individuals that do not have to check in your organization. You can just add that to the list here. So just select the drop-down menu for the access group that you want to be excluded from this check-in process, or you can use the access groups function to exclude certain areas of the facility from this check-in process. So let's say you want people to be able to access the parking deck, but not necessarily get into the office without checking in. You can just use this to select that group, and then those doors would be excluded from the check-in process. They would still be free access as long as you had a credential. And then if you want to get into a more sensitive area of the facility, you would have to check in. So those are some of the different use cases that can be achieved with this function here. So with that said, that is the end of our product presentation. I'm going to turn it back over to Rob to open it up to our Q&A section.
Cool. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. Let me just go back to the PowerPoint real quick. So we do have just a couple FAQs just to get things started. What hardware do I need? I think the hardware, obviously mostly applies to when we're talking about visitor management and access control as a whole, Mike. And obviously the Safe Workplace is a component of the access control solution. So maybe just talk about our hardware.
Yeah, so from a Safe Workplace perspective, you don't need anything additional. Now, if you do want to use a thermal scanner to do the temperature checks and the facial recognition, that's an additional piece of equipment, something that we don't sell. We can certainly point you in the right direction in that respect. From the access control side of things, everything works off of Mercury controllers and HID readers. So that's we use all non-proprietary components for our hardware. Again, part of our commitment to be fair with the customer. We don't want to lock you in with any proprietary hardware. And then from the visitor management perspective, you don't need any additional equipment if you want to use the base functionality. If you do want guests to use those QR codes as a touchless credential, let's say through a parking deck or a turnstile, then you would need a QR code reader in those locations where you want a guest to use the QR code as their temporary credential. So that's from a hardware perspective. Yeah.
And then as we go into, commercial real estate, some large office buildings, we start to get look at destination dispatch coming up more and more, especially as people are trying to get more touchless. So, maybe talk about a little bit how we're interacting with DD systems.
Yeah, so destination dispatch is everyone's favorite subject. Destination dispatch can be, it's site-by-site basis, really. We do support integrations with destination dispatch, whether that's Otis Compass or Schindler or what have you, any elevator manufacturer. We do that in one of two ways. Either we have a direct integration with the destination dispatch system, or we use our partners over at Braxos and their middleware to bridge our access control system to your destination dispatch. And that interaction can take a couple of different forms, right? So for employee access, we're just going to update the destination dispatch system with the employee badge number and the floor group that they have access to. With guest access, it can be done in a couple different ways. Like if you're using QR codes in a turnstile, we can enable it so that the QR code, as soon as it's scanned, it will call the elevator and assign that to the guest. So it can be that automated, or we can just update it and they can use that QR code with as a standard check-in process that doesn't call the elevator. It really depends on your physical hardware layout. So destination dispatch has so many different permutations. It's hard to give you an all-in-one answer, but that's as best as I can sum it up.
Okay. In terms of just our fee structure, Mike, talk about there's three parts, right? There's installation, there's hardware, and then of course there's the subscriptions. Just maybe break down the three buckets and how we charge for those.
Yeah. So our fees, on the software side. Well, for Safe Workplace, this is included. If you're an access control customer of ours, this is just part of your software package. If you want us to turn it on for you, simply just tell us and we'll turn it on for you and help you configure it. So that's a nice thing, right? That we wanted to include this as just a free product upgrade. Our access control costs from a hardware perspective and an installation perspective, it all depends on what we're doing. Are we taking over an existing access control system, or are we helping you build a brand new office building from the ground up? So that's a variable cost depending on the hardware situation that we're walking into. And then last but not least, what's our base cost for the access control software? Again, I'm sorry to keep saying it depends, but it really does. We have different pricing models for different types of customers because everyone budgets differently for their costs, right? So if you're an office building or a manufacturing facility or a hospital, we're going to present our cost in a per square footage basis because that's typically how those entities budget for their needs. And then if we're pricing with enterprise, it's going to be on a per employee basis because, again, that's how most enterprise companies budget as well, is on an employee basis. So different costs for different types of employees, or excuse me, for different types of customers.
Okay, and then one other thing just to mention as well is, for every job that we do, in order to have the most accurate hardware installation costs, we do require a site visit. So we partner with one of our system integrators worldwide, have them come on site, scope the site, walk it. That allows us to scope out the appropriate installation hardware, time it takes to actually implement the solution as we go through the sales process. Talk about actually, we got a couple questions that popped in real quick, Mike. So one from Deepak, software maintenance agreement for your software solution. We already addressed that as part of the annual subscription, depending on who you are. Can any key reader be set to trigger the questionnaire for employees using the app?
Yeah. So Scott, when we're talking about the reader being the trigger point, so that's actually not kicking off the questionnaire. I'm sure we could configure it to do that. It's just typically when we're talking about that use case, we limit all. So let's say you have 7 doors. All the perimeter doors to the office are on your access group, but you want everyone to come in through the main entrance so they can get, they can go through a temperature screening or check in or go through some sort of check-in process. You can tell us whichever door you want that to be, and then we will limit all the other doors until they badge in at that location, and then it will activate their other doors in the access group. So I'll have to look into whether or not we can have that trigger the questionnaire in the mobile app, but I'm sure we could.
Yeah, and if you're talking about the activation, which reader is going to be the activating one for the credentials, that can be any. Perfect.
And then do we have operations in United Arab Emirates? Yeah, we do worldwide. We have partners worldwide to help us answer that.
Yeah, I think we have one customer in Dubai, but I'd have to check.
Very cool. Maybe talk about parking and turnstiles. Obviously, between flash parking and other parking solutions, how do we interact with those solutions?
Sure. So, I mean, with regards to safe workspace or workplace, you can exclude those exterior check-in points from a check-in process or include them. It's really optional, as we covered in the settings tab there at the end of the presentation. When it comes to visitor management, you can install QR code readers at the parking entrance or the turnstile to enable the QR code access for guests at those locations. Really, anywhere you have an HID or a card reader, you can put a QR code reader as well because it works off the same cabling and gets connected to the controller. So anywhere you have access control, you can put a QR code reader and then integrate that to the touchless visitor experience as well. In terms of integrating with different parking systems, yeah, we're working on an API integration with Flash Parking, should be available here shortly. And then other parking systems, most of those are, again, they kind of are similar to access control systems where they're mostly on-prem. They're not API integratable. So in those instances, what we do is we set up usually an FTP site that's going to sync CSV files across. So if you have a parking deck situation, please reach out to us and we can do the evaluation and tell you exactly what might be required to integrate that parking system into the overall picture of the access control system that we're talking about here.
Awesome, awesome. Let's see, another question just came in. Is it possible to arrange an on-site demo for one of our customers in Dubai?
Unfortunately, we are not traveling internationally.
Yes,
yeah, for me, yes. No, unfortunately, right now we can't travel internationally. and we're trying to limit all travel in general. But we're happy to do a Zoom demonstration for a customer and talk them through the software.
And we are, we're available whenever you need us to get online and do a demo for anybody. So
I want my Sky Miles back, Rob.
No Sky Miles. You didn't get them. So with that said, we are here at the end of the hour. I want to say thanks to Mike and to Mattia for everything you guys did. Mattia, thanks for all the work you've done with our development team, all our programmers, all the developers to really enhance our solution to be able to bring it to market. It's really wonderful when we can get ideas from a customer, take it to our product team. If it goes to the developers and the engineers, and we can turn things around in 6 to 7 weeks, it's very impressive and just shows what we can do as a business. So thank you, everybody. This once again is being recorded. We'll send a follow-up email with a link to the webinar.